He's as handsome as any movie star. His timing and rhythm would make Fred Astaire envious. Women want to be near him. Every man wants to be his friend. He's one of the great world-class gentlemen, and among the handful of brilliant players practicing his craft on the world's championship stages. Meet Fred Couples tonight on Golf Talk Live. The following is an encore presentation of Golf Talk Live. He was introduced to the game the way so many of us were lucky enough to be, by his father. His swing was dreamed up and sent down from a happy corner of heaven. His career seems to have just started a few yesterdays ago, yet he's been a pro for almost 20 years. He's been called America's best player of the 90s, and sometimes accused of not living up to the pressure of that burden. Just because he doesn't reveal his changes of emotion each time one occurs, doesn't mean his heart isn't fiercely pounding, or that he isn't dedicated to a full, focused effort. And he wins, and he contends, and he makes it look so easy, so graceful, so fluid. At the Players' Championship, at Byron Nelson's Golf Classic, in LA, at Arnie's Place, representing America, winning Bobby Jones's Masters, winning his father's heart. Classy champion. Man of class.
Welcome to Golf Talk Live. I'm Peter Kessler. It is an honor to introduce you to one of the greatest players in the world, one of the nicest guys on the planet, Freddie Couples. Great to see you, my friend.
Thanks. Took me a while to get here.
Yeah, but you made it.
Yeah.
It must be so nice for you to come back to Bay Hill, given that when you won in '92 by 9 shots, it may have been as good as you've ever played.
You know, some people have asked me that this week, and the course has changed a little bit, but what I remember back then was that is the best I've ever played. 92 was a great year. To win a lot of tournaments is fun, but to win Arnold's tournament was a dream.
How did it go today for as many holes as you played?
Well, we went in and out and in and stayed in. I was 2 under after 10. You know, I thought the course was set up perfect. The greens were rock hard. I didn't think too many low scores would be shot, and then the rains came, and now it's back to a typical event where it's going to be a little easier. But Bay Hill is always a tough course, and for me, I just need to keep it and play tomorrow.
I thought that Arnold had a special connection with the man upstairs. I can't believe he allowed it to rain.
Well, and not only is it raining, it's pouring. You know, I felt pretty good. A lot of times when I go in, and we've done it this year quite a few times, I haven't played that much, but to stop and start is pretty difficult for me, and my back did all right. So I'm looking forward to seeing if I can play a lot of holes tomorrow.
One of the similarities between you and Arnold, I know that he loves the attention and you like it a little bit less, but one of the things that you really do have in common is neither one of you thinks of himself as a particularly big deal. That's true of you, isn't it?
Well, if that's the similarity we have, then that might be the only thing. You know, I watch a lot of people. I'm more of a watcher. When I go through airports, I look to see what people are doing. When I got on tour, just like I think it's Matt was talking about earlier in the segment, just standing around looking. And I remember watching Arnold, and every time he spoke, I checked out what he had to say. A lot with Lee Trevino too, and obviously Ray Floyd. But I think Arnold sometimes couldn't care less about what he's doing. He's a great player. And I think you can see that when he still supports the senior tour and still plays. He still plays a couple of our events. And I think that really is what he's all about. A score is not that important to him. He's done it all.
Your dad, I know, played pro baseball, but did it near home because he wanted to be near home. Secretly, you're really like that too, aren't you?
Yeah, you know, as my teacher says, I'm a closet practicer. When I do practice, it's fun, but the fun's not there too much. And when I'm really playing poorly, sometimes I just go away. Instead, some people kick themselves and then go practice twice as hard. I like wait a while, and then my game really gets bad, and then I come back and practice. And I'm not really one to play or enjoy it when I'm not playing well. And I think a lot of people are like that, but I am really the opposite. I would rather be home. If I can't compete and play well, there's really no reason to play. And sometimes, you know, I am lazy. I will never argue anyone on that subject, but golf's been great to me, but I think practicing is very difficult if you don't like to do it.
Your dad, who played semi-pro ball, and your older brother did the same, you almost turned to baseball, and we almost didn't see you play golf.
Well, you know, there's a real quick story to that. When I was 13, I tried to play for a team that my dad coached, and I made the team. And before the first game, you had to show some kind of you had to show a birth certificate of your age. And normally it's the opposite. You're too old. Well, I was too young, and so I went back to play for the team I should have. They'd already played, and I couldn't play for them. So I played golf all summer, and really played soccer and golf till I was 16 or 17, and obviously college, and stuck with golf.
I think I figured out the source of why you don't like to speak on the phone. When your dad got a call from you when you had gone out to the Queen Mary Open in between your junior and senior year at college, and there were no more amateur spots, and you said, well, could I play as a pro? And they said, if you say you're one, you do. And then, of course, you played great, you won a bunch of money, you called your dad, and he hung up on you?
Basically, yeah. And you know, there's a great story that Mark O'Mara had just turned pro that week too, and so I called him up and I said, Dad, you know, I just finished a shot ahead of Mark O'Mara, and before I could tell him, I think I made $2,800. He had hung up, and I called back and talked to my mom and explained it to her, and I didn't want to go back to school. I'd done it 3 years. We had great guys on the team. Jim Nance was there, Blaine McAllister, John Horn, Ray Barr. It was a lot of fun, but I was not into the school part. I loved golf, played every day, but the schooling just seemed, I just fell so far behind that I just didn't feel like doing it one more year, and the Queen Mary was there, so I turned pro.
Nance was a great influence, wasn't he, in college? I mean, he had it together then, right? He actually showed up for class and did the things that you're supposed to do, and was actually kind of a big brother figure, kept you a little nudge towards center, didn't he?
I think same age, but a big brother figure. We laugh very hard about it now, and back then, our coach used to say he'd be the, not next president, but he would one day be president, and some of us would be great tour players, which a lot of people out of Houston have come out of there. But what Jimmy did was took care of us and made sure we went to class. Whether we got good grades or not once we got there wasn't up to him, but he made sure we got out of there. And a lot of times, I think more of not being a golfer was more fun to have him there. You know, not as really as a big brother, but someone to say, hey, you need to do this. And he still does it today. He still tells me kind of what to do and how to do it.
How did he handle the unfair criticism where he got blamed for everything from the time difference between here and Japan to the snowfall, which had really not happened to him before? How did he react to that?
Well, you know, there's that phone thing again. I never picked it up to call him up and ask him. I've left him alone, you know, and I'm kind of one, again, take the easy way out, but if you do call him up, it's like, you know, what do you say? You can't say, hey, what's going on, because he knows you're calling. I mean, I never call anyone, so it's going to be, you know, here we go again, I got to explain this thing that happened with the Olympics. And so when I bump into him, I think it'll be easier. You know, criticism is a tough thing to handle for anyone, and I'm sure you go home some nights and don't think you did that well as an interview or as a host, and for me, you know, it's a one-time shot. If I don't do any well, I'll never come back, and if I do, I look better than people think I am. But for Jimmy, he thought it was the best thing he'd ever done. And I think from some friends, that's why he's taken it so hard, because he really felt like the Olympics was the greatest event he's ever done as a commentator.
Well, I can confirm that you don't pick up the phone, because I've been calling you for 3 years to get you here before you showed up. We'll take a little break. But you're here. We'll take a little break. We'll be right back with Freddie Couples. not to belabor this phone thing, but I know that when you used to check in at home from tour, your dad would say to you, well, you know, you could play a little bit more golf. And of course, with his cancer and his passing at the end of last year, he may get his wish now in calendar year 98.
You know, he was a bright guy. He knew my game in a choice, very few words. And a lot of times I'd won tournaments and called up there, and it was basically, didn't have, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal, which I loved. You know, unfortunately, I didn't like talking, I don't like talking to, not so many people, but even my parents that much. I just don't have a lot to say. But as far as what he would say is, you need to play more, you know, get out there and play. I want to see, I want to have something to do when I wake up and see the paper. So I'm going to try and play more. It's not going to be a whole lot more. It's just going to be hopefully better scheduled. I can't play 3 or 4 tournaments in a row anymore, so it's very difficult to really get in this huge rhythm like I used to. And then when I go home, I don't play that much, which is my choice, which is not very smart. Then when I come back, it takes me a week or so to get going, and this week I brought my teacher Paul in, so I've had 3 great days of practice, and I think it's paid off. And then you get excited about it, and then hopefully that excitement will tend to run a few weeks in a row. But I can still win. It's just frustrating because I'm not the player I used to be, and a lot of that is my choice, and a lot is I really have a tough time testing my back.
When you say a lot of that's your choice, what are you deciding not to do to find the greatest game that you've got inside you?
Well, I think a lot of things. You know, I get on a program and I work, for me, fairly hard. I don't, you know, Greg Norman is extremely a hard worker. He's in great shape. He's had some back problems. I don't consider them to be like mine. My therapist has seen him a little too. And for me, I get a little down or disappointed when my back flares up, and then I kind of go the opposite, where I think maybe if I don't do a whole lot, it'll tone down. So it really weighs on how I feel. There are a lot of times I still think I can hit a driver off the fairway and go at a par 5 and end up toe hooking it in the rough 100 yards short of the green. Just so many things that happen. But getting back to the point is, you know, golf is, you get everything you can out of it by how you play. And I think sometimes I sit back and think I'm still as good as I was by not practicing a whole lot, whereas Paul would tell you that, you know, 6 or 7 years ago, when I made a decision to get better, I practiced pretty hard, and I really enjoyed it because I think I won some tournaments and had a great stretch of years.
I wonder if your sense of family distracts you a little bit too. I know that you have a strong sense of family, and with your mom and dad both gone now, how important is it for you to feel that again, to have kids and to create a life that's quiet, away from the atmosphere, that you could take or leave except for the golf part of it?
Well, I think the greatest, you know, thing that's happened for me is I have a new girlfriend, Thais, who I've known for a year now, and she has 2 great kids, a 5- and 7-year-old. And in that time, going through what happened with my dad was easier, knowing her and being with someone. On the flip side, the hardest thing really is now, sometimes I tend to pick up the phone and call my dad, and then I catch myself, you know, he's not there. So there's a family thing. You know, some of the people that really know me, I don't have to call people every day or every week to let them know how much I love them. I have very few enemies, and I have very few tremendously best friends. I think on the PGA Tour, I like everybody. You know, there are run-ins you have at times, but
well, you're such a confrontational guy.
Well, you know, I sit right on that fence post, and and if one group goes this way, I'm jumping right there with them. But, you know, I think the list is a huge list. It's just that I don't go to dinner with that many people. I choose people that, you know, I want to listen to. And Davis Love is one, Jay Haas, over the years, Tom Pertzer. Ray Floyd is a great, great mentor for me, but I really didn't do much with him. I played some practice rounds with him, but off the course, you know, I stayed with he and Maria a few times at Doral. But, you know, he does his thing, and there's a big age gap too. Not that big, but a big age gap. But I think, I don't like using the word friend too loosely. I mean, I think there are people that are your friends, and there are people that you like to be around.
And of course, Ray's the fellow who said to you, you don't have to congratulate the other team every time a guy hits a great shot, right?
Yeah,
you can be a little tougher than that.
I think enough of, you know, great shot, nice shot. The Ryder Cup, playing with him was, I actually think about it a lot. He is as much of a competitor as I've ever been around, and I think I learned just enough that when I do go play and get going, not against my competitors, but against the course. If I get 4 under, I want to get 5, and then 6 and 7. A lot of that has to do from him.
The rest of us want to do that too. We just don't know how. Let's go ahead and talk to Grant in Las Vegas. How are you, Grant?
Hi, how are you guys doing?
We're doing terrific.
It's a tremendous honor to get a chance to talk to you.
That's to you.
Okay, how are you doing, Grant? I don't know. Everyone talks to him, so fire away.
That's some laugh.
Humor.
Where'd you get that laugh?
Listen, Fred, I've got a question for you about your college experience. You know, when you're going through that time there in Texas and going through the college ranks, how did you think that it separated you to allow yourself to progress onto the PGA Tour versus some of the other great players that you're around at that time?
Well, how old are you? How old are you, Grant?
I'm 33.
Okay, I thought maybe you were like a junior in college trying to figure out what to do
way
here.
Past that.
Well, for me,
I'm just looking more towards your. I feel like it's a mental aspect, and that's why I was querying because, you know, in the future I plan on having my own kids, and I'd like to develop, you know, a positive mental attitude.
You know, I went to college because I wanted to be a great golfer. Dave Williams was at Houston. I think the biggest thing for me was going to a school that I thought was best. They had just won the NCAA, and there were a lot of guys that had graduated, so I got in and played as a freshman. And because I played as a freshman, sophomore, and junior, I felt by that time I had done a lot and I was ready to go. And I don't think it's a wise move for some people. I wasn't that great a player at the time, but I knew I could play, and I got on the PGA Tour, and it happened so quickly that once I turned pro, I qualified for the tour 2 months later, and then came out and kept my card the first year, and things have taken off from then.
So it sounds like the advice is follow your dream.
Well, I think so. I mean, you know, mental part, you're talking to the wrong guy. I do everything by instinct. I play golf. I don't get into the mental part of golf. I try and hit the ball as best I can, and I don't worry about a whole lot of things. So for some kids that think, gee, should I stay in school or should I go? It was the weight was never on staying in school. It was going, and I never looked back.
You know, it's funny. People have said, kind of in criticism of you on the golf course, that you always maintain a fairly even disposition. But it's funny who admires it. Nick Faldo, for example, has said that he's learned a lot about how to shrug off bad shots from watching you do it, that you can leave a double bogey, keep an even emotional keel, go to the next hole, and you've got a good chance for a birdie. You
know, and that's kind of weird to answer that quickly, is when I play with Nick Faldo, I really get geared up to play with him because he's such a great player, but he's got a different game than a Greg Norman or a Phil Mickelson. It's, you know, I don't want to say he plods along, but he hits 2 irons as good as he hits wedges, and not many players do that. When I do get paired with him, I look at the opposite. I look at what a great mechanic of the game of golf he is compared to me. I blast it, and I go through stretches where Nick, basically, he's always right there every round. He's got an amazing game.
You make it sound like you're a 15 handicapper.
Well, you know, I'm not a 15, but I can be close to that at times.
We're going to take a little break. We'll be right back.
Well, that was a great year for me. What's the 60 seconds? Is that the 9th hole here?
That would have been the 8th, I think, right?
Okay. Here's the 9th. I think this was the only birdie that day. I know Ken Venturi told me that. And just a huge putt going into the back 9, and you know, that was a big day. The 12th hole, you know, I was pretty fearless and going for the flag, which is a huge mistake. And right there, you know, I just know I've done something stupid, and you can't see the ball, but there it is. No longer will that happen. That bank is straight up and down and shaved, so no one else will ever stick a ball in there. And a pretty easy shot, as long as I didn't flub it, because it would have rolled right back in the water. And made par, and this is a shot I did not want to lay up. And so I felt like I could hook the ball no problem, and I'm a little mad because I overhooked it and knocked it over the back of the green. But I felt like if I'd laid up there and had that wedge over that green, I didn't want to do that. And here's a putt that kept my 2-shot lead. And a lot was going on. I felt pretty comfortable because it was Ray Floyd I was going against. And I was playing so well, I didn't really feel that nervous. I have to be honest, there were times where I've been extremely nervous. The Bob Hope this year, which is not anything like the Masters, but and there's a tap in to win. Greatest week I've ever had. So,
How does that feel?
You know, that's a good feeling. Great feeling.
People think that you are unemotional, but you and Jim Nantz, who of course were sweet mates, and when you were in college, he said, one day you'll win it, and I'll be there to call it. You guys had a pretty good cry.
Yeah, I hope you don't have that.
And I wasn't going to show it.
Oh, good.
Just tell me about
you know,
it.
I think however we sat, I never really looked at him. And he kept going and going and going. And then, you know, finally I had my hand like this and I looked over because we had talked about it. And he's an emotional person also. And it was a huge, huge week for him because I was playing so well, and I think he had me in the pool that CBS has. So it's like every night, you know, go get him, go get him. And then when it was over, you know, I walked down there, and he's the first guy I saw, and it was really quick. You get down there and you sit and you go, and it was Ian Woosnam and I and the amateur, and again, we all sat. I didn't want to look at him. And then the end, you know, was like broke down and had a great cry.
The bad news is he has you in the pool every year.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm his #1 pick, so I've been pretty good a few times, but he was really. After that, we had sat down. He talked about college. You know, this is what I told you. This is what I told you. And you know, you never think about. You know, who cares when you're 17 years old? A guy could tell you anything. You're going to win 8 Masters, and to win one and then be there was a weird feeling.
For both of you.
No question.
Let's go ahead and see what John in Alabama wants to ask you. How are you, John?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Very well,
Great.
sir.
Big honor to talk to you, Freddie, by the way.
Well, thank you.
I just wanted to ask you a couple questions here. I'm a college golfer and sometimes struggle with the mental preparation before a round. I was just wondering if you could give any advice, you know, as far as mental preparation goes before a round. And also, my second question is, I was just wondering how you felt about the Casey Martin decision, since you've had continuous back problems and had to withdraw from several tournaments due to that.
Well, John, the first question about preparing before a round, I think it's really key if you do struggle starting off a turn. I think sometimes the most important shot for me is the very first shot of the day, and there are times where it sets the whole round. But getting to the first tee shot, it's important, I don't think, to pay that much attention to what you're doing on the range. A lot of times, if I'm hitting next to you at Bay Hill and I'll hit 2 balls and I'll talk to you for 5 minutes and try and, that's not staying relaxed. I think everyone's relaxed, but if you're out there and you're aiming for a flag before the round started, you know, and you're not shooting at that, you're going to worry that you're not hitting the ball that well. So for me, I just want to work on rhythm and timing, which is what I always do. And if you're more mechanical, just worry about your alignment, but not really where the ball's going. And then obviously when you get on the course, be warmed up and go. The part 2, you know, Casey Martin, the best way I can answer that is a tremendous talent. I have no doubt he'll be on our tour next year by finishing the top 15. I'm not changing my tune any. I have no problem in him getting a cart, because if he goes and plays good golf and I go and play good golf, I hope I have enough game to beat him, not every week. So I can't worry about that. What my problem was is the part about fatigue and the part about your body wearing down. I have a huge problem with that. And I think in LA they had talked, or they had articles when he was in Austin, the first tournament he played, and they talked to him every single day. And then we got those articles back in LA, and in one of them it said, you know, I'm exhausted. And there's no doubt you're exhausted, and I think he's exhausted from the media. Well, there's media on the PGA Tour. If you play well for a year or 10 years or 20 years, it's not a picnic. And I think if someone would just tell me to travel and play is not that easy and it's tiring, you know, I would shake his hand. But to say, you know, cart is not an advantage, I think is wrong. But I think for him, he definitely deserves it. I don't want anyone here to think that I've ever said I don't want him out in a cart, because he deserves it. But it is very tough and tiring. It's a grind.
As we go to break, we're going to see you making a putt that I think that you'll remember. So as it comes
Okay.
up, let's have your comments
All right.
again.
Well, talking about nerves, this is one of those times, and VJ and I had laughed as we walked off the first tee, and he had said, I hope it doesn't come down to us. And lo and behold, about 3.5 hours later, this is a putt that went across the green, looked great right now, and I'm running to the back, and I know where all my guys are, and I'm seeing them all doing a little dance, which is about as uncommon for me. It's the third time I've ever danced in my life. And then there's my man Davis, and you know, I remember stuff like that forever.
You betcha. We'll be right back.
Okay.